Guys, welcome back to the Chief Life Podcast. I am Matthias Turner, and today I am joined by Marco Robert. Marco, welcome.
Hey, Matthias, nice to see you, buddy. Nice to see you.
So, to give you a little bit more of a background, Marco's an inspirational talker. He travels all around the world when COVID-19 is not going on to help people out from the big stage, essentially. And realistically, you're a business coach, right? Like you get in, you help people to grow their businesses and to make sure that things are happening the way it should be for growth and for better business, in the sense that you're helping more people to achieve the things that you're wanting to do as a business owner. And I mean, if anyone wants to head across, they can see his website, which is marcorobert.com. So you guys can jump across to that and find out all the information that you need to see on that. I mean, realistically, Marco, we're in such an interesting time, something that none of us would have seen ever before. Like, sure, there's been variations of lockdowns, but not a whole wide world lockdown or close enough to. So I think realistically, there's so much we can talk on just around that aspect of it, because we've seen businesses shut down within the matter of not earning money within a week, which I think that's kind of backwards for the business owner, maybe potentially, that they should have built up a bit of a fund there. Ideally, you never want to be that shallow in money. But I feel like there's a lot that we can touch on right now around what can businesses be doing based on COVID-19 and its restrictions that it's doing for people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yes,
a lot. And before I jump into the subject matter, a lot of people love to call me coach. Sometimes people call me board, because I'm an advisor. I advise on boards. I've been consulting with businesses. So it's funny, I don't really have a title for myself. I don't even have a business card. I mean, in these times, a lot of my clients refer to me as their turnaround expert, because I've been turning around a lot of companies.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is a crazy time, my friend. It is crazy. I don't know about you, but I've been working around the clock. My clients have been reaching out to me. Right now, it's either that they're thriving because they happen to be in the right segment at the right time, or they're struggling because they happen to be in the wrong segment at the right time. So we're doing everything we can. So when it comes to advice, what I always say is this, and this is based on what most people don't do, right? See, when you turn around a business, I turn around a lot of businesses. The first thing I do is I walk inside of a business. I can cut probably 30% of the expenses, like literally overnight. So if they haven't done that already, people need to actually print an income statement, right? I think in Australia, you guys call them income statement. Here we call them profit and loss statements, the same thing.
Yeah.
Right now, they have to print an income statement and go line by line and say, okay, we spent $5,600 last year in this line. How much do we plan on spending this year, right? And then you actually reassess literally line by line. We were spending, last year in May, we spent $26,000 in labor, right? How much can we afford to spend this year, right? So that's the first thing that you have to do. You really, really have to look at your numbers and start, squeezing as much out of the expenses as possible. That's the first thing. The second thing that a lot of people don't do is they don't communicate. People just, when they start to freak out, and they hide in a corner, and that's the worst thing that a business owner can do. When I get involved in turnarounds, usually you have a creepy business owner who hasn't been communicated with anyone. Their employees don't know anything. Their wives or husbands don't know anything about what's going on. Their vendors don't know anything about what's going on. That's the worst thing you can do. When you start communicating, if you pick up the phone and you start calling your vendors, well, they know. First of all, they know that there's a crisis right now. Typically when I turn around businesses, sometimes you call your vendors and like, what? You're going to go out of business. You're like, well, right? But right now, you need to communicate with everybody. You need to reach out to everyone, and you need to tell them exactly, hey, you know what? We know what's going on. We have a plan. We're thinking about you. Because I'm going to tell you why I always tell that. Why I always say that. Because oftentimes, I'm on the receiving end of this, right? If I'm inside of a company and I have to cut expenses, I'm sitting down with the business owner and I say, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to pay this bill. You have a $9,000 bill that's going out this month. We're not going to be able to pay it. And once in a while, the business owner will say to me something like this. Well, you cannot not pay this bill. This goes to Jerry. Jerry and I, man, we talk all the time. Jerry and I, we go to the same church. Jerry and I, we play the men's night every Wednesday night at the golf club, right? We have to pay the bill for Jerry. So beyond the normality of running a business, sometimes business owners have relationships with people, and then those are the people whose bills get paid. So when you are in a weird situation like that, you certainly want to be communicating with your vendors, but you also want to be communicating with your clients. Yeah. If they haven't called you already, call them and say, hey, you know what, what's going on? Because you want to build that rapport. Because if they pay only one bill this week, you want to make sure it's your bill that they pay.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. No, I really like that. And I heard of a company who let out, pretty much they lease out money, and they lease out, like, they've got a lot of people who buy into their units, and then they essentially send the money on to the people after they've earned so much money. And these people, they literally called every single person as soon as the lockdown came on. Like, we're talking 20 or 30,000 people got contacted in the space of 3 days based on they wanted to communicate first, rather than these people having to come to them and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, are we safe or are we not?
Yeah. Very, very, very important. I'm going to tell you something. Communication is so important in business, and it's probably the most understated area of business. Everybody thinks, well, I can speak, so I can communicate. Most people don't know how to communicate. It's the most understated area of business. I always tell my clients, I say, if you can't reach me, you want to grow, you want to do something, learn about communication. You will, like, literally, you can never learn enough about communication.
Yeah.
Human beings are, here's the best example. Most people think that when we're speaking to one another, that people are listening to words. And in most instances, people don't listen to your words. People will listen to your intonation. They'll listen to your body language. They will even listen to your vibration. If you say something and you believe that it's BS, they know it. People will pick up on it, right? So we kind of all know it, but at the same time, everybody is trying to use the perfect words. Words don't matter that much in communication. In fact, there was a study done in the 1950s that said that in any communication between two human beings, words account to only 7% of the message. 93% is everything else. So communication is huge, and especially in weird times like now.
I don't know for the listeners, but someone who's really good at showing that is, oh my God, I just completely blanked on it. Old sales guy, like top of sales guys within America. Just listen to his book.
Cardone?
No, not Cardone. Cardone, was who I was talking about before with the company who.
Belford?
No, sorry, I'm talking about like older.
Brian Tracy?
No, I'm gonna find it. Sorry,
I'm gonna name them all.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
boom. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Older guy.
In my library. Zig Ziglar. How did I forget?
Oh, Zig Ziglar. Yeah,
yeah, Zig Ziglar was absolute classic at that. And I think if you ever heard any of his audio tapes or any of his books, he's absolute character for that.
Yeah. And by the way, this is one of my favorite things to do, to go back to these old geniuses. You see, I'm going to tell you something. We live in a funny world. Today, everybody is about trying to catch a rabbit. It's like, I just want to catch a rabbit, man. I just want to make a little bit of money. I just want to make money. You look at all these guys on Facebook, on YouTube. What are they selling you? How to make an extra $5,000 a month on Amazon. How to make an extra couple $1,000s a month on this. We live in the world right now where the generation is just trying to make money. Well, that doesn't work.
No,
that doesn't work, because when the only way you make money is if you bring value to the table. Right? So can you make an extra $5,000 a month for a couple of months? Absolutely. But are you going to be able to make a living by thinking like that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start thinking more like these old guys, right? They were very strategic. It was about, sharpen that saw, right? Polish that egg. Make sure that everything looks good. Bring a lot of value to the marketplace so that people respect you. And they buy from you. And they don't buy from you once, but they buy from you over and over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. An offer that converts, right? And something that is worthwhile. Unique selling
Yeah.
proposition. So, I mean, something I'd love to get really specific, Marco, because a lot of the people who are listening are going to be gym owners. That's kind of our background. There's a lot of health and fitness experts, or a lot of health and fitness enthusiasts, and gym owners. And gym owners are in a very interesting state right now because they had to shut their doors. Some of them were able to keep memberships going and have been able to lease out gear and do bits and pieces like that. And a lot of them have converted to online Zoom calls, doing multiple classes in a day. And I think some of them are really just kind of biting on. They're just trying to hold on by the grit of their teeth. And that's kind of where they're at right now. What sort of things would you be advising these types of business owners?
So here's the thing. I have a client. I haven't been in touch with them. Their contract has expired, but I've been kind of communicating through Facebook with them a little bit, but not formally. Yeah. They're in Brisbane and they own a gym in Brisbane, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what's going on right now. If you think that you can actually do the same thing the same way you were doing it last month, and you're completely delusional. Yeah. So you have to be, the first step is the business owner themselves. They have to be willing to take all of their preconceived notion of the business and throw them out the door. Yeah. And then they have to start thinking, okay, how am I going to reinvent my business completely, right? What can I do? Let me give you just an example, and it's not pertaining to gyms, but yesterday I was thinking of something. Right here in Scottsdale, where I live, there's a lot of Thai food restaurants. And there's two types of Thai food restaurants. You have the fast, kind of street Thai food that, you go there for lunch, it's like $12, $13, and it's really fast and good, right? Yeah. And then there's another guy who's literally like 100 meters away, and he serves like upscale Thai food restaurant. Mm-hmm. So when we want Thai food for dinner, usually we go to his place. So the two of you, between me and my girlfriend, we might spend maybe $75 with a nice bottle of wine, right? Yeah. When we want quick Thai food, we just go across the street, and then it's $25 for two. Okay. Well, right now, because people are not sitting down, nobody is looking for that experience. Nobody wants the experience of a nice bottle of wine and something. So the guy who had selected a niche of the high end, he's going to die unless he starts offering, Thai curries and, the basic stuff that people want to buy by the pound. Yeah. I don't want to buy an experience. I want to buy my Thai curry by the pound. If you can't sell me, like a huge Thai curry so I can feed my family. If you want to serve me like a cute and delicate Thai curry that comes with the right wine, you're going to go out of business, brother. Yeah. But you still have a kitchen. You still have those amazing recipes. Sell me the Thai curry by the pound. And you're going to make business. And that's the way I see it right now. I had a call with my trainer, right? And like all of the other trainers right now and all the gyms, what he wants to do is he wants to do everything online. He says, Marco, we've just launched a new online program and so on and so forth. But what was really cool? So what he was able to do, he's a very high-end trainer, right? And he sells like these things that we use. I don't want to go into detail, but he sells like physical things that we use to actually work out in the gym. Okay. Mm-hmm. To make sure that I'm better positioned. And when I push, a lot of really cool stuff. So he just reached out to me and he said, so how's your workout? I said, well, I've been kind of working out from home. He said, well, cool. We're doing a new workout from home. Are you interested in that? I said, well, not really. Cause I just bought onto, beachbody.com already, right? Yeah. Beachbody.com. It's hard to compete with beachbody.com. $99 a year. And then you have like hundreds and hundreds of trainings, right? So I just jumped on beachbody.com when my gym closed. Yeah. But he said, hey, you know what? What about I could review your program with you. And I said, okay, that's pretty cool. So I said, not right now, but I might be interested in that. And he said, do you have all these things? Well, you know what? He made a call with me and he ended up making about $300 for that call. Not bad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He said, I can send you this, I can send you that. And he made $300 just for that one call. So Is he going to get me a brand new program? I mean, I think when I designed my program with him, I think it was like $5,000. So am I willing right now to redesign a brand new program with my coach? No, maybe when the gym is open. But the fact that he reached out to me, the fact that he was willing to help me kind of figure out how I was going to work out from home, the fact that he offered me a workout from home training, all of that. I said, yeah, you know what? Let's do this, let's do that. And I ended up spending about $300 with him. And he's probably going to be able to survive this crisis,
like that.
Doing little things like that. So that's what you have to do. You have to be very adaptable in these times.
Yeah, definitely. I think rejigging your services, right? Like obviously that thing that he sold you was things that he already had. And so changing and making some little pivots or whatever to make sure that you can keep getting some sales in, and knowing that your sales might not be exactly where they were at before, and that's all right because it's about surviving right now. And I think realistically, once the doors reopen, gyms are going to be thriving. Like people understand how good a gym is right now and how good like having a community is, and all of that side of it is like, I've still been talking to a lot of the members of different gyms, and they're saying if my gym doubled the membership when they first opened, I would pay it because I know how valuable the gym is.
Yeah. And then here's another thing. This is not one of my clients in the gym business. It's one of my clients in a different business. But what she did, and if I ran a small gym, I would probably do the same thing. This is what she did. She runs a daycare center, right? She ran a daycare center. And what we did is we reached out to all the parents of these toddlers that do not have to go to the daycare center right now. And we said, hey, you know what? Would you mind terribly if I continue charging you anyways? And then going forward, I'll give you a discount just so I can have the cash flow. And you know what she said? She said, Marco, I did exactly what you told me. I reached out to all the parents and every single one of them agreed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So as a gym owner, now if you own a gym and you have 5,000 members, maybe it's not practical to do that. But if you're a smaller gym and you have, 400 or 500 members, why not reach out to them and say, you know what, we're going through a crisis. You know that $75 that you're spending per month for my gym makes a big difference for me right now. It probably doesn't make that big of a difference for you, but it makes a big difference for me. So why don't you just allow me to continue charging you? And then once this crisis finishes, then we'll have some promotions from some of you guys that actually have done that, or I'll grandfather you into something else, or I'll give you a package, or I'll invite you to a weekend boot camp. You understand?
Yeah. Definitely.
So that you can continue having the cash flow right now. So that's it's very, very important. Cash is the third C that I didn't mention, right? The number one, I said communicate. Number one, I said cut costs.
Yeah.
Number two, I said communicate. And number three is cash. Man, you need to hold on to cash right now like your life depended on it, because it might. Right? I'm just sitting on cash. There's going to be a lot of pseudo experts right now popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Why? Because people are hurting for money. So people are popping up everywhere and they say, you should buy this from me and you should buy that from me. I don't know if it's the same thing for you, but my feed on Instagram and Facebook, I see faces I haven't seen there in like 12 months. And they're like, hello, they're doing live stuff because they're trying to sell stuff, right? They're trying to reconnect with people. So as a business owner, you have to be extremely discerning right now. There's a lot, you have to be able to recognize the real from the faux. There's a lot of faux out there right now.
Yeah.
People they're just hurting for money. And it doesn't matter if you're whatever you're talking about. There's a lot of pretenders out there right now. And just because somebody hurt doesn't mean that you should give them your money, because that you can actually hurt more. Cash is very, very precious right now. You cannot afford right now as a business owner to spend money that you cannot track direct results.
Yes.
Like you need to be able to say, okay, I spent $10 and that $10 made me 12. If you cannot track it, don't spend that money right now. Right? You need to have a direct correlation between, and the best way to have a direct correlation is to make sure that you always work with the highest and most professional people that you can afford. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you run a $500,000 a year business, well, don't bring in KPMG as your accounting firm. But you should work with an accountant or an accounting firm that is the best that a small company like you can actually afford. What I'm trying to say is that don't bring your brother-in-law to do your books, okay? Just because he thinks he can,
Yeah.
okay? Because that's probably going to put you under. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, obviously marketing right now is a very interesting thing as well, because it's hard to break the seal. I think people are so tight on what they're doing and they're not really looking to buy right now because everyone's almost in a state of panic or scare. And I think that's starting to ease a little bit right now. But everyone was chasing ideas or thoughts around COVID-19. Like that's what they wanted to hear about. That's what they wanted to see, was how they could do better for themselves during this time. And a lot of people were marketing like crazy. Like you said, the news feeds are filling up, and a lot of people are not getting much response from their marketing as well because of the current situation. And this is an interesting thing. This is something that Grant Cardone did, the guy that we mentioned before. He actually claimed that he was bankrupt as a marketing tool.
I know. I saw that last week. Yeah. Some people didn't like that stunt.
Exactly. That's a big thing to do. And obviously he's spun around. He's like, hey, it's actually not true. It was just to get some more attention, and he got the attention. And I don't know. I heard an interview with him based on what he'd done. And I think that's, I don't know if that's the best call, but he pulled it off. And I haven't necessarily lost respect for Grant at all, because I think he's doing incredible jobs and he's still paying people's bills pretty much. Like he's doing a good job there. But things like that, people are going extreme. And I just don't know. That's definitely, I wouldn't say the answer right now. I think now is the time to be giving and giving love and making sure that you're helping your community. And then in the hindsight, in 2-3 months time, that's when they're going to come back and be like, oh, that's right. Matty really helped me out during that time.
Now, here's the truth about what happened with Cardone last week, right? Did that work? I don't know if it worked. I mean, was he able to garner some attention? Yes. But if you look on the blogs and the forums right now, a lot of people would say, man, I'm kind of disgusted with Cardone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of people are going out of business, and you prick, you fly your private jet, but then you pretend that you just lost your private jet, and then you pretend that, that's kind of pricky, man. You know? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are kind of pissed at Cardone for having done that. Did he generate a buzz around him? Yes. But is it a good buzz? I'm all with you. I like the idea of, this is the time to care. This is the time to show up. This is the time to bring value, like to bring more value to your marketplace than you normally do. See, we have to remember this. Business, by definition, is a simple exchange of value for value. Yeah. That's what business is, right? We exchange value. You say, hey, you know what? I worked really hard at the mill, man, and I'm able to put $300 in my pockets. Well, that's my value, That $300, I had to work 3 days at the mill to get that money. And then, well, I don't know if I want to pay $300 for that. And it's just simply an exchange of value for value.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to bring a lot of value, people are willing to completely be behind you. And I think, here's the other thing. I think that there are some of us that are kind of, privileged. I mean, what I'm saying here is I'm very lucky. Okay. In this crisis, I feel like I'm very lucky. I can work from home. My clients are all over the world. I've always been working from home. My girlfriend is, a psychologist, and she works from home also. So this has not affected us hardly, right? And what I'm thinking is this: if you are somebody like right now and you're watching this, and you are one of those privileged, we're lucky. We're just lucky. You need to give back, man. You need to turn around and give back. What can you do for your community?
Exactly.
And you may not make money, but man, you're gonna build. You're gonna build goodwill, and eventually that goodwill is gonna pay off.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I was sitting at home I've been home for about 2 weeks. All of my events from all over the world have been canceled, obviously, right? And I'm sitting home, and I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. And I just reached out to my community on Facebook, and I said, are anybody here actually hurting business-wise? Would you be interested in if I kind of put together a course? Well, 500 of my friends on Facebook said, man, yes. And I put together a little course. I didn't charge anybody anything. And for about 10, 12 days, I was just sharing stuff daily, right? Every morning, people would get up and I'd be there in their face and say, okay, this is what's going on, guys. Keep it up, keep it up. And I was kind of motivating them, but at the same time, I was sharing with them the nuggets of what you need to do right now to turn your business around.
Mm-hmm.
And you should have seen the reaction. At first, I was kind of wary because some of my clients, actual clients that have paid for the same information, were watching the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hope you guys are not going to be offended, because some of them have paid like tens of thousands of dollars for the same information. And everybody was like, no, we understand. It's a crisis right now.
Exactly.
We need to open the books. We need to help everybody. And the response was amazing, amazing, amazing. So
yeah, it's unreal.
I think that's what we have to do, you know?
Yeah. We've definitely, like, something we're doing right now is we had a fair few gyms reach out to us individually and say, hey, we really want to get like a webinar or a masterclass happening. Would you be happy to come in and do it? And a lot of them were saying, can you do it at goodwill? And we're like, look, it is also our time. So we need to also value that. And so what we did instead of just saying, hey, we're going to charge you this much, you this much, you this much, we said, how can we do it as cheap as possible for each gym? And so what we've done is we've pulled like 15 gyms together, and we're running them all together all at once. And it's made it so cheap for each individual gym. And then on top of that, like, we're adding so much value to their clients who are now paying their membership and continuing that going. And really, it was pennies on the dollar for them.
That's awesome. And did you do like that before? Was it your first time doing it?
So we've always run like webinars and stuff like that, and gone out to gyms. Like, we're always about the face-to-face. And so these are gyms that had previously, or most of them had previously worked with us. And then I just kind of emailed our list. I was like, hey, guys, this is what we're doing. If anyone wants to add a little bit of extra value, this is how we can go about it. It's awesome, super cheap, mate. And they loved it. Like, I mean, everyone who's jumped on it, we're giving them a spread of lifestyle. We're giving them tips around like boosting their immune system. We do a yoga class. We're doing nutrition basics. We're diving into meditation, into sleep. Like, we're really covering lifestyle as a basis, which it's what our business is all about. It's what we're excited about and passionate to share. So yeah, it's really cool to see, I think, little things like that the community respond to and respect.
I love it. I love that you're doing that, because that is exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what the gym owners need to do as well. They need to do the exact same thing. I see some gym owners. I have a friend in Montreal, Canada. She owns a gym. She's at home right now. So she brings a couple of people and they do classes, like the 1980s classes. So you have two people behind and one in the front. And then every day, like not long, for like 10, 15 minutes. And it's like, if you want to warm up or something, I'm going to show you how to warm up.
Yeah.
So she's staying in touch with people, because you see, I grew up in a very isolated region of Canada, in the middle of nowhere, right? And my grandparents' parents were actually settler. Okay, so it's not like 100 years ago. About 100 years ago, that region was settled. Yeah. Canada's been settled for a long time, but my region has only been settled for about 100 years.
Wow.
So 80 years ago, when my grandparents were young and they were growing up, it was a different world, right? Mm-hmm. So they usually, during the summer, they worked the earth, right? They worked on their farms, and they were, sowing the fields and preparing the fields and, getting ready for the crops and all that stuff. But in the winter, there was nothing to do. So what did they do during the winter? Well, they got ready for the summer. That's what they did, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them, if you didn't have a job, what you did in the winter, you got ready for the summer. So, and then what do you do during the summer? You get ready for the winter. And it's kind of this cycle. And now we live in the world where we forget about this. But right now, because of this crisis, this is winter. This is the winter of the world right now. So what do we do during winter? Well, if you can actually try to stay afloat if you can. But if you can't, at least just get ready for next time. I think I'm going to tell you something. I'm actually really excited about what's going to happen. Okay. I've doubled down. I hired 7 people in the last month on my team because there's so many opportunities right now. If you know what to look for, there are so many opportunities. I brought in a guy from Australia, actually, who's going to be my fund manager. We're building a fund. We're going to start buying a lot of these businesses. You know how many businesses are going to go out of business? You know how many people are going to lose their job? So who can actually step in and help those businesses? Not a lot of people. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the investment community and say, hey, what are you going to do with your money? You can keep your money in the stock market right now, but you can keep your money in the in the real estate market. Or maybe you can invest in a fund where we're going to help recover the world after this, right? So we've started to reach out to the business community, and already people are throwing money at us, and they're saying, yeah, that's a really good idea. And then we're building this fund, and then we're going to start buying some of those small businesses that have 15, 20, 30 employees to keep them afloat after this, right?
Yeah.
And then through mergers and acquisitions, we'll be able to create some synergies. I'm not saying that I'm going to be able to save company A, but by buying company A and buying company B, we'll merge them together and we'll save some jobs. And
yeah,
so I'm super excited about this. I'm
cool.
shifting the way that I've done business for the last 10 years. I'm shifting it because the world wants me to shift.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there's a whole other aspect to this that we haven't touched on yet. And it's for the people who have started a brand new business in 2020 that might not have necessarily the following that other companies do that have been around for 5, 10, 20 years. So if you were someone starting a venture from scratch right now, what would your approach be right now? What sort of, I guess, outlook would you have on it all?
Yeah. So my number one thing is always this. Okay, you have to look at the cash.
Mm-hmm. You
have to be willing to step into the future, even though it might be scary, and think about, okay, let's go 6 months down the road. Can you sustain yourself for 6 months? And if you can't, if you say, man, 6 months down the road is really very scary because in 3 months I run out of cash. Okay, then you have to make a decision right now. So what I always tell my clients is that go and live in the future for a fraction of a second and then come back in the present where everything is all right, right? But you want to go and look in the future, look at what's happening, and then bring back the present. And then from the present, let's make some decisions. And I've told some of my clients to actually get a job right now. I said, Amazon is hiring a lot of delivery people. There's a lot of pizza companies hiring. Dude, you cannot afford to be sitting at home right now because you are not ready for this. So I want you to go and deliver pizza right now. Not because you're going to become rich delivering pizza, but you're going to be able to keep afloat. You're going to be able to pay your rent. You're going to be able to pay. You're not going to lose your car. Go deliver pizza for the next 3 or 4 months, and it's going to be an amazing experience. And do it. Don't do it in the spirit of, oh my God, man, I'm delivering pizza. No, do it in the spirit of, this is an amazing experience. I get to deliver pizza for fun, right? Yeah.
Imagine the communication you get to have. Like everyone's on lockdown right now, and you get to go and see people. How nice is that?
Exactly, right? You have to be willing to do whatever you have to do right now. You cannot say the people who will perish in this, and there will be some, and that's the sad reality, are the people who cannot adapt. I call it I have a principle. I call it the sacred cow principle.
Yeah.
Right? Why? If you go to India, there are a segment of the Hindu population. They believe in sacred cows, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. It's right for them, right? So cows are more sacred than some other caste of human beings, I think, right? So imagine this scenario, okay? This Hindu guy who believes in sacred cows, and he is stuck in the desert, and he hasn't eaten anything, hasn't drank anything for like 5-6 days, on the verge of dying. And it's him and his cow. Well, a lot of these believers who believe in sacred cows, who believe that cows are the reincarnation of their family members, are not going to kill the cow. They're going to die right next to the cow, right? Like you and I'm assuming you're a meat eater. Yeah. You and we're basically going to kill the cow. I'm going to say, sorry, little animal, but then I have to survive, and then we're going to turn that into a barbecue, right?
Yeah.
Because I have to survive. So what I'm trying to say is this. Whatever belief you have, whatever belief system you have, whatever values you have, you need to understand that there is somebody across the world right now who doesn't have the same values as you. There's somebody in another business industry that doesn't have the same value. There's one of your competitors who doesn't have the same values. So you can hold on to your values and die, or you can be willing to actually be flexible and say, you know what, these are weird times right now, and I'm going to eat the cow, right? I'm not a cow eater, but this is a weird time. And, you know, you pray whatever you have to do and you eat the cow. So what does that mean? In business terms, that means that maybe you're going to have to let go of somebody who's very close to you. You know, maybe your nephew used to work for you, but you don't need your nephew right now. And that you know, $500 a week that you're paying for your nephew right now, this money is hurting you. You're going to have to say, excuse me, Sonny, but I'm not going to be able to keep you. That's a hard decision to make. That's a hard decision to make. You might have to close your doors on 3 days a week or 4 days a week because you cannot afford to keep your doors open that much. You might have to go to a lower quality product, like the restaurant story I told you. You know, yes, you like your fancy food, but maybe right now all people want is basic curries. So sell them curry by the pound. You understand? If you have, and everybody has a sacred cow. Everybody. Yeah. There's a limit. They're like, well, I'm just going to push a little further. And people, by the way, when I pick up businesses when I walk inside of a business that is just collapsed, usually right next to the dead business is a thriving cow that we could have killed. Yeah. And we could have kept that business alive every single time. But there's also a defeated business owner who was not willing to make that one decision. Yeah. Understand? So right now, what I'm trying to say is that right now there is nothing should be sacred right now. Yes. Yeah. Because, and this is what I'm sure people are listening to me right now and they're saying, what? Some people are freaking out. What? Nothing can be sacred. No, nothing can be sacred. Because whatever is sacred for you is not sacred for somebody else. So in times of thriving, you can't afford to have your fancies and your whimsical sacred things. But right now, you can't. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are really understanding whether they have overcommitted and overspent based on if they've got big loans on cars, big apartments or houses that they've overspent on. Like, they're really feeling it right now and maybe questioning their decisions. And maybe it's a hard lesson to learn, but potentially it's also a really good lesson to learn as well for a lot of those people.
And you know what? Here's the thing. Like, I'm sitting on, you know, I'm not trying to boast or anything, but, you know, I'm doing okay in life, right? So right now, if someone came to me and said, you know what, Marco, I have a car and it might be worth $30,000, but I owe $25,000 on it. Would you give me $25,000 so I could just get rid of my payments? Man, I would buy the car right now. Yeah, I would take the car right now off of him. You understand? Because it's a good deal for me, so you understand. So it might not be a bad idea right now to get rid of your car and maybe go get something. Maybe you have a $500 a month payment. Yeah. Why don't you just sell that payment and then go buy yourself another car where you have $150 a month payment? Maybe right now is not a good time for you to drive your BMW. Maybe you need to drive a Ford right now.
Get a moped.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
What?
Get a moped. A moped instead.
Okay, go get a moped.
Yeah. That'd be $500 done. You'd be sweet.
Where about are you in Australia? We're in
Brisbane.
Oh, Brisbane. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nice time. It's nice right now in Brisbane.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Incredible weather. Wake up cold, gets hot during the day, and then we're good again. So, yeah, it's quite nice. It's a good time to be home because you get to go outside and enjoy the sun a lot.
Yeah, same here, man. In Arizona, it's like every day is like 22 to 28 degrees every single day. Yeah. It's just beautiful. It's the best time to be in Arizona.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Scottsdale. There's actually a lot of big names live in Scottsdale, right? A lot of the big marketers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you know? There's a lot of big. Joe Polish is here. Graciosi's here.
Yeah, Graciosi.
Yeah. I didn't know Dan Kennedy was here. I didn't know that.
Maybe he's just in Arizona. I might be incorrect there.
I think, by the way, you know Dan Kennedy passed away a couple of years ago, right?
No, he didn't. It was incorrect. Fake news. He's alive.
Dan Kennedy is alive?
He's alive. Yeah. Fake news. It was, he was on his deathbed and he recovered.
Oh, wow.
He's literally right today running an event. His first event
I thought he died a couple of years ago. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was on his mailing list and I thought the same thing. And boom, it popped back up and sure enough, he's alive and he's got two people that are really...
You know, there's actually a name for this idea. Like everybody thought that Nelson Mandela had died at Ricker Island,
Mm.
or was it called? I think that's what it's called, Ricker Island. And then we didn't hear about Nelson Mandela, and then suddenly, he's the president of South Africa. We're like, wasn't the guy dead? And psychologists have actually come up with a name for this, where everybody agrees on something, but it's not true.
Yeah,
there's a name for it. I don't remember what it's called, but I think it's called the Nelson Mandela principle or something like that.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay. I was in the same mind. I thought he'd passed away, and I've been reading some of his books because they're great for business owners. And there you go.
No, Arizona is a great place. I'll tell you why. Smart people live here. I used to live in California, right? And I love, love, love California. It's amazing. And I would have probably stayed in California, but my fiance is a psychologist, and she's not. She doesn't have the license to work in California.
Got some strict rules in California, right?
Yeah. So she's board certified in Arizona, but she's not board certified in California. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to move. I guess I'm going to move to Arizona. Mm-hmm. Dude, in Arizona, the cost of living here is peanuts compared to California, but the salaries are about the same. So people thrive here. In Scottsdale, you have a community of people who thrive. I see more Bentleys and Lamborghinis and Ferraris here than in Northern California. Way more. People thrive. So that you see a lot of smart marketers are moving here. You can buy yourself an amazing house. Like I'm talking like a beautiful house in a nice neighborhood for $1 million here. Like it's just it's like you can live in a nice house for $300,000-$400,000. But you want a nice house, like upper echelon. Like the bottom of the upper echelon is about $1 million.
Yeah,
so it's really inexpensive to live here.
Yeah, that is.
So a lot of smart. Robert Kiyosaki is here as well.
Yeah,
his company is here as well.
And so I mean, something I was reading the other day, and I actually quite agree with it, is that people are very willing to spend money when it's under $100. Like that's kind of a no second thought payment for a lot of people, even when they're in crisis, right? Like if there's something that they want and it's cheap right now, they're typically going to go say, hey, that's cheap enough, that's affordable enough. I might be on the string right now, but that is something that creates a lot of value for me, and I'm going to buy that. And so I feel like definitely that's something that people should take into consideration, whether it's gym owners or not, or like you said, the Thai restaurant, them doing that cheaper, better meal, or cheaper and just easy to grab meal is going to be very, very valuable to people at the moment right now. So it's those things that you could do, whether it's things you've done in the past and you just make them a little bit cheaper for this time based on what it is. I think that the other thing to remember is that people are still earning money. At the end of all this, there's still people who are on the front line. There's still people, like you said, that yourself, very fortunate and able to keep doing exactly the way you were doing.
Yep.
And so people are still earning money. So there's no reason you cannot be selling right now.
Yep. And I love your idea because, let's say you launch an offer right now. It's like a $69 offer. Okay. You can sell hundreds of those, but everybody who buys you a $69 offer is also, in 3 months is going to be a potential person to buy your $1,200 offer. Yeah. And everybody who buys your $1,200 offer is going to be a great candidate for your $10,000 offer. You understand? Yeah. So, and a lot of people right now are thinking too small. They're like, well, if I sell something, I don't have anything for $69. Well, why don't you put something together for $69 or $29 or $39 for no other reason than to boost your list right now, build your list. We're just, I'm doubling down on everything. Marketing wise, I'm doubling down on everything, my friend. I just hired a team of PR people. I'm hiring a new Facebook agency that I'm working with. I already have a YouTube agency. I have someone who does all my LinkedIn stuff. We're doubling down. Yeah. And we're spending a little bit of money. I'm not talking about millions of dollars here. Okay? I mean, not even hundreds of thousands. We're spending a little bit of money, a few $1,000s, and we're testing different things.
Yeah.
And because first of all, I have the time to actually be testing this stuff. And number two, whether I make money from it or not, I'm building a list. I'm building followers. And I'm going to be able to milk those people, milk that list, going forward. So that's what you have to think. If you think only in the present moment, and if you're only trying to feed yourself right now, that's tough. That's tough. But if you say, hey, you know what? I can go on a diet right now, maybe not feed myself as much right now, but I'll actually start working on my future. And your future doesn't have to be 6 months down the road. It could be 4 or 5 weeks down the road. You know, you spend 2 or 3 weeks building a list by selling people something for $10, $20, $50. And then in a month, you can actually go back to that list. Maybe this month, you're only going to make $1,000 from that list. But next month, you're probably going to make $10,000 from the same list.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. Bigger picture stuff. I think that's a big theme of what this podcast has been about, right? Like it's not about necessarily right now. Like, yes, obviously we've got to survive right now, but it's about what the bigger picture is down the line.
100%. 100%. And then I think the people who think like that, not only are they going to thrive, but they're going to make the world a much better place. You know, here's the other thing that we haven't talked about. Everybody has an opinion right now about everybody else, right? People are watching the politicians and they're like, oh my God, this guy's such a zero, right? Yeah. Or and here's what I tell people, is to be very wary of the common sense information out there right now. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Everybody has an opinion, but nobody knows. Historians will be able to tell us. They will be able to tell us who was the heroes and who were the zeros.
Yeah.
But right now, those pundits on TV, all they're doing is they're having an opinion. Be very wary of opinions. So basically what I'm telling my clients is you can have your own opinion. Make up your own mind right now. Instead of trying to, switch the channel. If you're watching those conservative channels, maybe you need to start some liberal channels or vice versa. Yeah. Watch the other channels. You'll see, man, it's all opinions. Nobody knows how to deal with this situation. The proof is simply by looking at governments around the world. You look at the government in America, they're taking certain actions, and you look at the government in Europe, they're taking different actions. Why? Yeah. Not because you have smart people and stupid people, because nobody knows. Everybody is trying to figure it out. So do not listen to people out there. Make your own opinion.
And people are the media is definitely playing on the fear right now. We've been telling people to turn the news off. Like, don't watch it because it's negative. Like right now, it's just going to pull you into a exactly, it's a zero. It's going to pull you into a zero state. You are not going to be able to function well because your environment is no longer a happy place.
Yeah. So and you know what happens is that fear that you have when you watch the news. I watch zero news, like zero. Okay, because when you watch the news right now, you get into that fear mode. Well, there's actually a physical reaction, right? Your cortisol level elevates.
Boosts. Yeah.
When your cortisol level is boosted, then you can't think the same way. You're actually it's proven you're not as smart, right? And
tunnel vision.
It's tunnel vision. All the blood shoots to your limbs so that you can run, so you can actually fight that saber-tooth tiger. And because that's how we're programmed, right? That flight or fight mode.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I always tell people, turn off that TV. Again, they don't know what they're talking about anyways. Nobody knows. So all they're trying to do is they're trying to get viewership. So they're trying to get to create some sensation. They're trying to scare the crap out of us because they want viewership. And they don't even know what they're talking about. So turn off your freaking TV. And then go meditate or something.
Exactly.
That's much better.
Deep breathing. Yeah. So I'd love to dive into in these last few minutes that we've got you for, Marco, is what is your favorite topic to talk about on stage? I know we've talked about business as a whole, but as a part of business or as a part of motivation, what is the thing that you like to really narrow in on with people?
Oh man, I love it. I love it. This is one of my very favorite things to talk about. I'll tell you something. It's a story. When I sold my own businesses, I was in my late 20s. I built a mini empire and I sold it. And I wasn't sure what to do after that. So my wife and I moved to California. She had a job. I didn't have a job. So I said, okay, what am I going to do? That's when I decided to go into consulting, business consulting. And originally I did what all the business consultants in the world do, right? I thought, I have a recipe for success. It worked for me. I'm going to apply it and I'm going to train my clients to do it. And some of my clients became really successful, and some of them, it's almost like they never met me. And it really frustrated me because I was always thinking, hey, you know what? It actually affects my reputation. Why is it I'm working with this guy right here and he's thriving, and I'm working with that guy and he's still struggling? And I could not wrap my mind around that for about 4 years, the first 4 years, of my practice. And then one night, I was actually attending an event by an action coach. You know, action coaches are from Australia, right? What's the name of that guy again? Brad Sugar.
Yeah.
So there's an action coach in my town in San Jose, California, who was putting an event that night. And this is what he says. He goes and he says, remember, guys, that the foundation of business is the business owner himself or herself. And it's like a light bulb went off in my head. And I realized at that point that the reason why some of my clients succeeded with the information and some did not succeed with the same information is because they're different human beings. And then I embarked on this path. That was about 2003, 2004. And I embarked on a path to discovering what's the profile of a person who becomes successful. And, you know, over the last 15 years, I've really, really honed in on what that person is. And today, that's one of my favorite topics. When I'm on stage, I actually spoke at an event in Brisbane last year. It was an event. No, not Success Resources. I don't remember what it's called. It was at the Tentam Club or something. It's a private event. There was only about 65 people there. And I said, they gave me 15 minutes. Right? So I said, okay, I have 15 minutes to speak to you guys. What am I going to tell you in 15 minutes? Because I might never see you again. And I said, there is a profile of a person. And then if you become that person, you can have or do or be anything you want in life. Literally anything you want. Now, will information help you achieve that? Yes. Will knowledge help you? Yes. Will education help you? Yes. But not until you have embodied the characteristics, the character, the profile, the personality, the identity of the kind of person who can make things happen. And I have a name for that person because I've studied that person for so long now. I have a name for that person. I call it an outlier entrepreneur. Why? Well, the term outlier signifies something that actually is outside of the norm.
Yeah.
So to me, an outlier is somebody who is self-affirmed. It's somebody who understands who they are and they play their own game. 99% of human beings are not like that. 99% of human beings are compelled by their society. They're compelled by their environment, by their family, by their religious beliefs, by their political beliefs. How do I know that? I lived in 5 countries before the age of 31. And you know what I found out? I found out that in every country, there is such a thing as a normal, average, and ordinary person.
Yeah.
Now, when I lived in Guatemala, the normal person in Guatemala was very different than the Canadian normal person. And when I came to the United States, the normal, average, ordinary person here is very different than the normal, average, ordinary person in Mexico, where I lived for a few years, right? But there is such a thing. So human beings adopt, in general, most human beings adopt the profile of a normal person. And that person will never, ever, ever succeed. The person who will succeed is somebody who is self-affirmed. It's an outlier person. And they are also what I call an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who is devoted to the creation of value for the world. In my book, there's a huge difference between a business owner, who's basically somebody who owns a business, right? Anybody can be a business owner. You open a business, bravo, you're a business owner. That doesn't make you an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the business owner whose life is not simply devoted to making a little bit of money so they can pay the bills. That's a normal person. The entrepreneur is somebody whose life is devoted to the creation of value and the betterment of humanity. So if you mix that, if you mix a person who is self-affirmed, who is self-determined, who is responsible and accountable for their own actions, and is also determined to making the world a better place, that's the person that always thrives. So what I do now, that's my favorite topic. So what do I do when I'm on stage? I bring that up and I have developed some methods where very, very quickly I can shift like an entire audience. People leave my talks after 30, 40 minutes and they're transformed for years. You should see the number of people who come back to me. Like actually, there's a gentleman from Australia. I don't know exactly where he's at. I'm not going to, I think he's in Sydney because I saw him. I met him. Yeah, he's in Sydney. He reached out to me. He said, Marco, you don't know me, but I saw you speak at an event in 2016. There were like 5,000 people in that room. And you transformed my life. And he reached out to me because he's launching a business. And he said, I would love for you to be part of that business. Because I know what it takes to actually make a person successful. And that's the first thing that I love to talk about the most. Make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
I love it.
I love that you can and that's obviously you can change your state. You can change where you are. And we see it time and time again, right? The people who are complete drug addicts that have transformed their lives around, now they're millionaires and drug-free, or the one that grew up in the ghetto and now they've got everything they ever needed because they changed their state. And realistically, that's if it's doable for one person, it's doable for every person. I think that's really something that people forget is like, well, I'm different. It's like, no one's that different. Like we all come from the same place. Essentially, we can all do the same things.
Yeah. If somebody has done it before, why can't you, right?
Exactly. It just shows it's possible.
Yeah. And then here's the other thing I always tell people. There's not just one way. There's many different ways. Think about Oprah Winfrey. She's a billionaire, right? Warren Buffett is a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates is a billionaire. Donald Trump is a billionaire.
Yeah.
They've all achieved the same really high status of business, but they've all done it differently.
Yeah.
Right? But then you go out there in the normal world and then somebody says, you want to become a millionaire? Do my course on Amazon, how to sell on Amazon. You want to become a millionaire? I'll teach you how to trade in the stock market. You want to become... And everybody has a solution. And people are like buying solutions like they think that the solution is outside of them. What I tell them is that the solution is not outside of you. If you look at the super successful, they found and resonated with a solution that emanated from them.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And nobody teaches that.
No.
And I can teach it in 15 minutes. That's why I'm on stage and I teach it in 15 minutes. People are like, holy shit. Oh, holy moly. Like it's like a rebirth for some of the people when I teach it.
No, that's unreal. That's great. Well, Marco, I think that's a good place to kind of wrap things up. Once again, people can find you at marcorobert.com. What are your socials, Instagrams and YouTubes and whatever else? Is it everything just Marco Robert across the platforms?
I wish. But here's the truth is, if people Google me, I'm everywhere. So you can, if you Google Marco Robert, you'll find me everywhere. You'll find all my websites. You'll find a good place. If you go to marcorobert.me, I think all my profiles are there. I think my Facebook profile is there. My everything is at marcorobert.me. I own all the Marco Roberts, so, but I don't own Twitter. I don't have Marco Robert. Facebook. I don't have Marco Robert. I came in a little bit late for that.
It's the ones where you don't have to buy it, so it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. So everyone just took it.
Yeah, somebody took it.
Oh, great. Well, listeners, make sure you head across and jump across to marcorobert.me. Perfect place to see it. Thanks, East Marco. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks so much, buddy. I really appreciate you, and stay safe.